Hello. Today I will be doing another showcase video. The vehicle I will be showcasing is directly designed or based off of the UH-144 Falcon helicopter from the Halo Reach game. And although some of you may or may not find it familiar, if you don't, that's alright. But later in this video, I will be showing off what it can do, the weapons I've given it, and also I will be giving a couple of peeks at its interior systems and how they work. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. The first thing that I think I want to show you about the Falcon would be the interior of the cockpit. So as you can see, there are 6 buttons that you can interact with, each one having its own purpose. The first array would be for the lights, so you have the navigation lights for the exterior of the Falcon. There's a couple lights on the wingtip of the rotors. There's some on the engines, including some flashing ones on the end of the tail. Other than the nav lights, there are some rear lights. These lights are for the infantrymen or the gunners in the back of the Falcon for just normal night operations and all that kind of thing. The other light would be for the cockpit. So this is really just so that the pilot can see what they're looking at in the cockpit over night missions and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for the lights. Oh, and the camera on the landing gear on the front of the Falcon also has its own landing light, so you can see where you're, or you can at least see the general area of where you're facing when you start landing during the night. And it can be pretty useful, but I will say it is a bit of a small viewport, but it still helps. Next up would be the instruments. So this being the speedometer. I know I butchered that pronunciation, but it is just there to tell you how fast you're going in miles per hour. I tried making it go in kilometers per hour, but I couldn't really figure out how to get that system down. Other than the speed meter, there's a altitude instrument. So this is really so that you can see how high up you are in meters, but also it tells you if you're getting too close to the ground. So both the red and not so yellow light right here are to tell you if you're getting way too close to the ground or if you're getting too close to the water. The target light is so that you know if there's something in front of you. So right here, I mean, it's kind of tilted down, so it's just picking up on the floor. But yeah, so the target light, if there's like, for example, building, hill, mountain, whatever in front of you, it will just start flashing, and then you can start moving out of the way if you notice it in time. The last button for the the cockpit would be the canopy. So just like in Halo Reach, or just any Halo that includes the Falcon, the canopy opens up in 2 sections. The front section of the canopy moves forward down the nose, and the other moves upward towards the rest of the body. The outside of the canopy also gets its own little exterior button, so you have a more convenient way of getting in and out of the Falcon. But yeah, I mean, apart from that, that is pretty much it. And oh, well, I mean, the pilot, of course, gets to use the helicopter, but I will show that later. I did that one. The next part I think I want to show you would be the side door gunners. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. They're just some small RPM or low RPM small miniguns inside of the Falcon. They're not super powerful, but they have enough kick to them to where they can take out other players decently fast. So yeah, they are pretty useful against other players. Not so much for other vehicles, But yeah, the vehicle part, though, that would really come into play for the nose gun. So the main rotary autocannon, for the 20 millimeter ones to be exact. This one is not powerful enough to take out a tank, but it is strong enough to do some work on things like armored trucks or just your everyday armored vehicle that you would normally see across a battlefield or really whatever. So, show. Yeah, as you can see, it does a good number of damage to a armored vehicle. Again, not enough to really do any reliable damage to actual tanks or real moving armor like IFDs, APCs, but it has enough of a kick to really punch through thin armor like this. And yeah, the explosive rounds are really also just there so that if there's a piece that gets stuck on the vehicle, it will just throw it out of the way so that the AP rounds can, go even further into the armor and do more damage. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple, but apart from that, I was also able to give the gun itself some really nice effects. So yeah, as you can see, it has like its own little burning effect, but also a overheat on the barrels themselves. The tracers weren't really shine, but I was just too close to the gun. Although the accuracy of the gun itself isn't very great at range, it's really just there to take out anything that's in the general area of the landing zone. But yeah, it is not too bad, not too good. It can become a little bit of a pain to look around with or just use when you're in a multiplayer server because, well, multiplayer servers tend to have really high ping and that can really hurt the reliability of the gun. But it doesn't mean it's going to be completely useless. And one last thing about the gun, it also gets its own little spotlight so that you can actually see where you're shooting during the night and not just shooting at tracers. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for the nose gunner. Not too bad, not too good. There is one last thing though. I just remembered for the. Am I on fire? Oh my god, I keep pressing the wrong button. There. So again, for the gunner, it is a fully stabilized gun. So it has horizontal and vertical stabilization. It doesn't have a roll stabilizer, of course, because it's not really built on a platform like that. But the actual movement of it is very, very smooth. I know it's not perfect, but it is still good enough to where the gunner can just make work of what they have. And it also just looks really nice. If I don't crash, that is. Let me see if I can't fly at an angle so I can really show how that stabilizer works. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, as you can see, the gun is very stable when it isn't getting its actuators overloaded. But yeah, and then the horizontal stabilizers, those are really good. It functions exactly as it should. Again, it's not perfect. Nothing is, but it is good enough to where the gunner can really make do with what they have. Another thing, the Falcon itself is very stable when it shoots. So you can, oh, ran out of ammo. You can really make some good work of the people on the ground just by using the gun. But you also don't really have to fight against the recoil that much because it has its own recoil dampening system. But yeah, I have no idea where that's at. There we go. But yeah, I mean, it pretty much doesn't really do much to the movement of the Falcon, but it's still very nice. It is a very stable gun, assuming that you're not in a very laggy server. But yeah, next up would be, of course, the flying. It flies very nicely, and as you can see, it's very stable. I'm not even holding the keyboard or mouse. This is just all rotor control. But yeah. I do have two thrusters on each engine though to help with the roll. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that earlier. But yeah, no, it's really just so that you can do this when in hover mode. You don't really need to do this when you're cruising because cruising makes you fly like a plane. Well, almost like a plane. It just makes you fly faster, essentially. But I also couldn't figure out how to turn them off for when you're in cruise mode, which is alright. I mean, I couldn't really do the same for the turning part of the hover mode, as you can see here. You just turn really hard. But it's also like inverted turning, so rather than it being the A key to turn left, you turn right, and vice versa. It's annoying, but once you get the hang of it, you can really utilize that for some fast turning and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, apart from the cruise mode and the inverted roll controls from the hover mode, you can really just fly around and do whatever you want. And since it has the pitch and horizontal, well, I mean, I already explained the horizontal, but since it has pitch control on the rudders too, you can really utilize that for, well, just going up and down. And that's kind of why I said it flies sort of like a plane, but not at the same time, because, well, it doesn't have any moving flaps, but the engines kind of function as those flaps. But, yeah. I mean, apart from that, the Falcon is pretty maneuverable. I mean, you can do some pretty wild maneuvers with it, but as you can see, it crashes very easily when you do that. So, yeah. The landing part, though, is very simple. It is pretty tricky depending on what speed you're going at, but it is particularly easy to just slow down. You just have to have pretty good rudder control. Or not rudder control, but just overall skill with the aircraft, as you can sometimes just stall it out like I did over there. But if you shift down to the second gear and try pulling up, you can just kind of put yourself into a little spin, and then you can just kind of float down. Yeah, as easy as that. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have to show. Oh, no, sorry, I lied. There is one more thing. That would be the flares. So, although vehicles in Halo don't typically get flares because, well, honestly, I don't really know the reason, but yeah. I mean, this one gets some flares because in brick rigs, you're absolutely going to come across vehicles that are going to have those heat-seeking missiles. So having a couple of flares is definitely very useful. And it also just looks super cool. and I think I just crashed. Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it for the Falcon. The next portion of the video is just gonna be me testing out the oh my goodness, why is that so messed up? As I was saying, the next portion of the video will just be me and a couple of friends messing around with it, showing off how effective the weapons can be when you're on the move, but also the flares. I I'm not going to show it here because it shows later in the video, but it also gets its own little missile warning system right here. So the siren is connected to a sensor that detects those kind of missiles, and it just blares at you to let you know that there's a missile after you. But yeah, so I'll see you in the rest of the video.
Yeah, I'm trying. Oh yeah. Alright. Firing. No. Firing. Firing. You got 3 missiles on you. Oh.
Well, we and James Bond.
Firing. Alright. Yep. Oh, gunners. Gotcha.
I think the garage collapsed.
Okay. Alright.